Hello and welcome to Adonai Spiritual Formation Center podcast studio, where we are recording Damascus Road podcast. I am Rob Blocker.
And I am Pam Taylor.
And we are hoping you will join your journey with ours as we go up this Damascus Road, Pam.
Yes, please do join us. The weather's fine.
Yeah.
Road smooth today.
Yeah.
So let's take a walk.
Let's take a walk and go, ooh. I like how you just gave that visual, like it's a clear day. It's that cool, like not quite summer yet, but it's that cool just before, oh, wow. Okay, I'm just reflecting. When God came into the garden and said, God shows up in the garden in the cool of the day. So when you gave that visual, that's what came up for me here on Damascus Road. So if you are here with us, we encourage you to, in this conversation, share it with your friends, with families, and continue your journey on Damascus Road with others so that you have a greater understanding of what God is doing in your life as we're getting ready to share what he's doing in ours. Sounds fair? So what's the topic of today, my dear?
Today's topic is the Beatitudes.
Ooh. That's a ooh moment. Yes. So the Beatitudes is found in Matthew 5 and 6. Is it really like the Sermon on the Mount? Is that sort of
It's the introduction to the Sermon on the Mount.
So because he gets really into, and then like the Sermon on the Mount is like chapter 7, or no judging others. Wow, Jesus is on a roll for like a good couple of chapters.
All the way through chapter 7.
Wow. Okay. But we're going to focus mainly on what they call the Beatitudes. And so as we were discussing this before we started recording, Pam suggested that we look at the previous chapter a little bit, which will lead us to the Beatitudes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to start with chapter 4. And let's see, we're going to start at verse 23.
Yes.
Awesome. And so this is in Matthew chapter 4, verse 23. And it says, Jesus went throughout Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness among the people. News about him spread all over Syria. That's curious. And people brought to him all who were ill with various diseases, those suffering severe pain, the demon-possessed, those having seizures, and the paralyzed. And he healed them. Large crowds from Galilee, the Decapolis, Jerusalem, Judea, and the region across the Jordan followed him.
So these are the people that he is speaking to.
Yes.
So before that, it's the beginning of his ministry. John the Baptist baptizes Jesus. Jesus goes into the wilderness and is tempted for 40 days and 40 nights.
Yep.
And he begins his ministry, and he calls his first disciples. And then he begins to go and heal the sick.
Yes.
And now he has attracted large crowds, and he addresses this large crowd of people.
And if I may build on what you're saying, this large crowd that he has attracted to him were the ones socially and economically on the lower run. And so when you look at the Pharisees and the Sadducees, so religiously these people were on the lower run. The Roman Empire is in place, so that puts them on a lower run. The Sadducees and Pharisees were working it out the Romans so they can we'll keep control of the people, right, if you let us have control. And there were Jewish leaders who were actually like governors or mayors, and so they were in place to keep the people low. So who does Jesus come and talk to? Those people.
He talks to those people, the oppressed.
Yeah. The downtrodden. Let's get into the Beatitudes. Would you mind reading that?
Sure. So this is the beginning of chapter 5. Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you."
Wow. What a setup.
He just pours out blessings.
Right.
He just starts there.
There's no criticism or judgment
Right.
in this. And here you are, you and I, we're on the mount, and he's sitting down and started preaching this.
Right.
It's I guess in some ways preaching is this. So he was just making a proclamation of who you are in the sight of God.
Right. He changes their status like instantly.
Right.
You know, you're not downtrodden just to be downtrodden, right? You're blessed.
Right.
Blessed are you in that state.
Right.
Because, and then he says, "For you will be comforted if you're mourning.
Right.
For you shall see God." Like, God is, it's like, if he had to sum it up, God has not forgotten you.
Right. I see you.
I see you.
I was sharing with a friend of mine the other day because we happened to she was feeling like she's a burden to God. And then I was reflecting because I knew we were going to talk about this. I was like, wow, God is really saying to her and to all of us, you're not a burden to me. You're not heavy to me. I could carry you if you allow me to. Here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bless you because you're in this state of mind, in state of being. And then I realized, like, with the one, because that's one of my favorite ones, the blessed is he who mourns, so he will be comforted. It's not really referring about death. It's talking about your state of being, your mental health. In a sense, it's talking about depression. If you have your religion in your government oppressing you all the time, and you can't get ahead, you are mourning. You're
in a
sad.
constant state of mourning and grief.
And so God is saying, guess what?
You will be comforted.
I'm throwing my hands in the air. Okay.
Did you wave them like you just did, kid?
I did. I was going to be like David and be more indignified in that. So let me ask you, Pam, which one of those Beatitudes speaks to you?
All of them, but they really do.
Yeah.
But I want to focus on the first one.
Blessed are the poor in spirit.
The poor in spirit.
For theirs
is the kingdom of heaven. And what this means to me, because you had the Pharisees, you had the Sadducees, you had the religious leaders of the day.
Yep.
And they could be considered to have been rich in spirit, right?
Outwardly. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like they had all the power. They get to set all these laws. They get to enforce them. They get to tell you, you poor slob, you're not upholding the law. Go make a sacrifice of 2 doves and a fish or whatever, right? It reminds me of the scripture where the religious leader was in the temple praying, and there was a sinner, right? Tax collector, I believe it was.
Yes. Tax
collector, just beating his brow, can't even look up to heaven. It's like, forgive me, Lord, a sinner. And the religious leader is looking over like, Lord, I'm so glad I'm not like that sinner over there.
Right.
And the scripture says, which one do you think went home justified before God? the one who was rich in spirit or the one who was poor in spirit.
Right.
Poor in spirit, like it's a state of humility, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally,
Yes.
I talked about how I had a rough childhood, right? I had a lot of things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced a lot of hurt from a lot of people. And I made a decision somewhere along the way that I wasn't going to be that person, right? I experienced enough hurt to decide that I'm not going to subject anyone else to that kind of hurt. Not on purpose. I was not perfect by any means.
Right.
I'm sure I did cause pain
Mm-hmm.
to the people in my life at some point. But my intention was to spare people of that, right? Having experienced some deep, deep depths of pain, betrayal, abuse, abandonment,
Right.
And I think that made me poor in spirit,
Mm-hmm.
It made me want to always stay in a place where I am reflective of how I'm showing up in the world, how I'm showing up to other people. Again, was not perfect, didn't get it right a lot of the time.
Right.
But just that desire to walk a different path from those around me, that made me poor in spirit. Even when I joined church and I looked around at all of the protocols and the titles and saw that there was a disconnect between what I was learning in Scripture and what I was seeing played out.
Right.
But even then, I was never one to be like, "Oh, you a bunch of hypocrites," da 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 da. My response was compassion. Like, we're all trying to figure this thing out, And I endured even more suffering on some occasions within the church and within my path of trying to learn more about God. And through all of that, I was able to keep my poverty of spirit because I knew that I wanted more of God, right? The other beatitude is, those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, right?
Yep.
I knew I had that. And I know that I had some challenges in being filled, with my different experiences, right? But the challenges, and then they kept me poor in spirit, right? They kept me from always assuming that I had the answers, right? Or assuming that I had something over someone else, right? I've always had this disdain for the us versus them narrative because we are them, they are us. There is no them and us.
Right.
And the church loves to make a them and a us. And that never sat well with me. And I think it's because I've been poor in spirit.
You put a different meaning to the poor in spirit because I was thinking of something just different.
Well, yeah.
Right. I don't know how I could really explain it. I guess like the poor in spirit, that person, maybe this is how I've been feeling about it, is less than, right? Because like you said, when you go to church and you go to various congregations and Pastor so-and-so, he's sitting high, right? Because he's driving the Cadillac, he has the house and he's hearing from God. And I'm like, I think I do, or maybe I wish I could hear from God like he does. Like I start comparing myself, so then I'm making myself poor in spirit. Like I'm denying myself what God is saying that I can have. Even as Jesus says, blessed is he who is poor in spirit, as I'm interpreting in my own heart, he will have the kingdom of heaven. But I'm like, how can I have the kingdom of heaven? Because I'm comparing myself to these other men and women who apparently they have the kingdom of heaven. God, how can I have that?
Yeah, I think we said the exact same thing. I think the definition is the same.
Right.
Because there's a perception of, it's like there's a sincerity of heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to seek God, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, like you said, there's a barrier, right? Or a perceived barrier.
Right.
And I think that's what Jesus wants to tear down immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed are you because you're poor in spirit.
Right.
Right? The ones who have the titles and the Cadillacs and the things, they're not necessarily there.
Right.
Right?
It doesn't mean that they have the kingdom of heaven.
Right. It doesn't mean they have something over you.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You have that lowly, right? It's lowly, but not, right? It's lowly, but the sincerity of it, the contriteness of it, the desire for only God, it makes, he says, theirs is the kingdom.
Yeah.
That's your key to the whole kingdom.
Right.
That's how you get in.
Right.
Remember when they were talking about the children?
Mm-hmm. Suffer them not to come on to
Right.
me.
He says, for the kingdom belongs to such as these.
Right.
Right.
So
and what are children?
Interrupt this. So,
no, go ahead.
Because the poor in spirit, one is the danger of us comparing ourselves to someone else. Two, that poor in spirit, that like we almost think like not worthy because of the template, because of the construct says that you have to be this way. And Jesus is saying, no, you have full access because you are. So here, you're blessed because you're poor in spirit. That because you said so, everyone else is saying so, you're thinking this deeply in your heart. But check this out, you're blessed.
Right.
Come in. Your portion of all of this is the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah. I think it's an advantage because you're not coming in like the religious leader in the temple. You don't have, you're not full of yourself, right?
Right.
You're not conditioned, right, to believe that because your family lineage were all priests, Sadducees, Pharisees, that you can recite the law front and back.
You have a certain economic status.
Right. You have a certain privileges.
Right.
You don't have that conditioning, right? So you're just there. It's like, look, I'm just a tax collector.
Right.
And I just want forgiveness before God. You have less to let down,
right,
to lay down than the spiritual teacher who's praying.
So think about when they had to come to do their sacrifices, right? And there are certain sacrifices they had to do where you had to bring a lamb or oxen and those kind of things. But if you don't have that because you're financially poor, you're struggling, and then you bring this dove because that's all you can get. If we lived in the hood, it would have been a squirrel or a pigeon. But we bring this, but it was the best offering compared to like Jesus giving that parable of the righteous and the tax collector. The better thing was because you gave of your very best.
Right.
Because this is all I have to give to you, God.
Right. And
so
then
I'm going to give this to you.
Yeah, he has another parable, right, of the givers, right? There's two people giving, right? There's a man who's rich. He gives a lot, right? Pours money in. And there's the widow, right? The parable of the widow's mite. She gives whatever she has, right?
Right, right.
And he says that her offering was more acceptable because the rich man gave from what he had.
Right.
She gave from what she didn't.
Right. So blessed was her,
right,
who was poor in spirit.
Right.
Wow.
Because she gave out of what she did not have. It's easy to give when you have a lot to give.
Right. Right.
But when you don't have, but yet your spirit says, I want to give.
So I give this.
I give this.
This is all I have.
This is all I have. But that's that poverty of spirit, right? It's not a negative thing.
Right.
You're actually, he says, it's almost like he's saying, you're actually the riches. Because remember, he says the last shall be first.
Yes.
And the first shall be last.
So it's interesting you bring that up because after he is baptized by John, so this goes a little further into Matthew, and John's disciples come to him, to Jesus, and have these conversations with Jesus. And Jesus said that John is the greatest of them all. He brought forth this message. But those who will come after him, the least of those were actually greater than him. So he's talking once again to those who are poor in spirit. Mm-hmm. You're greater. Like John did this amazing thing telling people to repent. The kingdom of heaven is here. Jesus carried that message. John is recognized as even being the Elijah to come. But you and I, we're greater than him. Mm. The poor in spirit. Those who struggle, those who can't give. I mean, it's just, I think Jesus also with that poor in spirit is also laying down a blanket of, how do I want to say it, different spiritual conditions that people are at this time and even today.
Yeah.
So think about it, like there are people who are involved in their congregation and they can't do tithes because they have 4 children at home and they're working 2 jobs and they're trying to make it. Mm-hmm. And they know if they pay this $100, that there's a possibility that their lights will go off. So what does that person do? And I'm going to go on a limb and I'm going to say, pay your electric bill.
Please pay your electric bill. Please do.
God's going to take care of you. He's not judging you on because you didn't give this $100.
Right.
Now, if he leads you to do it, then so be it. But if you don't have that for your kids, to keep your lights on.
Yeah. Take care of your home first.
Right. God got you. Because the contrary would be pay your $100 and God would get you. That's the contrary. I've been involved in that.
Right, but this is from people who can easily afford their light bills each month.
It's that rich person who's going to give, and they're going to give the $100. Why? Because their lights are on, and they're good.
And then they should give, because then you can give.
Right, but yet this person, I could see this young woman who's just struggling with this. Like, sister, just give what you can, but take care of your family. Mm-hmm. God got you. He's blessed you with this job. That little bit of overtime that you was like, oh, I can do this for my kids now. Use that for your kids.
Yeah.
Because God has blessed you. Your inheritance right now as the poor in spirit is to receive the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, it's almost like he's saying the kingdom of heaven is for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for them.
Right.
Right? He called them whitewashed walls full of dead men's bones, right? Mm-hmm. The greatest among the Sanhedrin, whatever the titles were.
Yep.
He's like, the kingdom of heaven is not for them. Right. He's like, I came for you to offer you the kingdom.
Right.
It's like the woman at the well. What did he offer her? Mm-hmm. He offered her living water.
Right. Come and worship me in spirit and in truth. Mm-hmm. Come and take up this water.
Yep, I came for
right.
you.
You're never thirst again.
You're the blessed ones. The kingdom is for you. You who are poor in spirit.
If I may, think about when Jesus was on the cross. So you had thief number 1 and thief number 2. Mm-hmm. And the one was like, yo, man, if you call yourself the Messiah, why don't you get us out of here, right? And then the one thief number 2 was like, no, don't talk that way. Hey, Jesus, I'm the sinner here. Can you remember me in your kingdom? Like he's asking. That was the poor in spirit.
Yes.
He did not think he was worthy to even ask of Jesus, but he did ask. And Jesus didn't answer thief number 1, but I will say that he turned and said to thief number 2, hey, this day you will be remembered in the kingdom. Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
He said, today you'll be with me in paradise.
Wow.
Today.
Not in the future down. That man right now is walking in paradise with Jesus. So
because he was poor in spirit. He inherited the kingdom.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's not about, I'm a minister. I've done a lot of things in churches, but that's not why I have the kingdom. Mm. None of that is going to gain me the kingdom. Mm-hmm. Right? It's that contriteness of spirit.
Right. And that's what you were saying earlier. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why maybe I needed to catch up to you, because what I was hearing from you was that to have that contrite in spirit, it is a good thing. I'm not boastful in what I do. I'm just doing this thing that God has asked me to do, not in a way so that I could get the recognition. And Jesus talks about that quite often, about those who are in position of power, or prime example, when you pray and fast, go pray, wash your face, Like, anoint your head with oil, wash your face, and then go about your day.
And when you pray, don't go about it on the streets,
Ashes.
praying and loud. It says, go in the closet and pray in secret.
Right.
And your Father will reward you openly.
Mm-hmm. There's that contrite heart.
Right. That poorness of spirit.
Right. I'm very blown away by this idea of that Jesus is saying poor in spirit. Because I see myself as someone who was poor in spirit, and I sort of alluded to it earlier. Just the danger of me comparing myself to other people. And I remember there was a time where that started shifting for me. And whereas, like, no, this is just who you are, Rob. You're this man that God has been forming and shaping. I have made left turns and right turns, up the hills, down the hills, valleys, all these things. Like, I'm living life.
Mm-hmm.
But, however, God is still coming to me and say, hey, the kingdom of heaven is yours. You're still invited.
Mm-hmm.
Come sit with me. Come sup with me. If I knock, open, and I will come and sup with you. And he's not shooing these people away, and nor has he pushed us away because we made whatever decisions and done whatever we have done in our lives. Because if it wasn't for God to allow us to make some of these decisions that we have made, we wouldn't be here speaking of how blessed we are because we are poor in spirit.
Right.
To hear him say that to us so clearly, so lovingly.
And I'm sure these people never heard anything said to them like that before. Like, what, I'm blessed?
Right.
The kingdom of heaven belongs to me?
Get out of here.
Like, I'm sure they were riveted. Like, what? Who is this man that says these things?
Right. And they say that sometimes too, right? Like, who is this guy who's saying these things to us? Because that is not the cultural norm.
No, that's not what's been happening. These people have been oppressed.
Yeah.
And talked down on and walked over and forgotten and abused and taken advantage of and ripped off and all of that.
Yeah.
He says the kingdom is for you.
Right. I'm having a very vivid memory of one of my first times in Rinjiro, Kenya, which is a very dry area. And people are they're financially poor. And I even would say poor in spirit. Because they were pretty downtrodden because they could not give an offering to the church. So what Pastor Grace did when she came in, and she recognized how people were poor in spirit, and she said, just give the church what you have. So what people started doing on a Sunday, they would bring fresh fruits and vegetables because that's what they had. Mm-hmm. They didn't have any. If you had a coin, you leave a coin. But she would take that coin and like put it in an account so that she can like save it. So if they needed things in the church like new benches or windows and that kind of thing, she would put those in. But when they brought forth like their papaya or bananas, because that's like the two big things people grew, or you had some cabbage, after the blessing was put upon that offering, and then they all shared it. She would ask someone at oranges. That was another big thing. Like you cut up oranges, and all the children ate. Everyone ate. And I remember that was profound to me. And so then my good friend Kamal, he would go to all the bishops, and they were like, Kamal, you're not bringing us any offerings from the dry areas. Why? And he goes, because they don't have anything. They're bringing fruits and vegetables. Like, what am I supposed to do with fruits and vegetables besides eat them? So we ate them. What great compassion and love that Pastor Grace had to allow the people just to give what they can give their very best.
Right.
And God greatly blessed them. I mean, from healings to people were able to buy like motorcycles so they could have a job. I mean, it was just like every year I was going, you're seeing people like thrive.
Yeah, that's great.
Because of the simplicity of they're recognizing they're poor in spirit. They couldn't give the way that everyone else is giving. But here's Jesus' words saying, no, you're blessed. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit. And now they have their their kingdom of God. They will inherit it, and they already have it.
Right.
Just given on their behaviors.
Yeah, I also think of poor in spirit as like you're stripped down. You're just stripped down to I like to say the lowest common denominator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just down to the basic, I just want to know God. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't add all this stuff on top of it.
I love that too. Yeah.
You don't add all this stuff on top of it that can complicate it, that can, I like when Nicodemus, right? He was a teacher of the law. Mm-hmm. He comes to Jesus at night.
Right.
And Jesus, so simple. You must be born again.
Right.
Just be born again. It's like,
yeah.
It's almost too simple. Nicodemus is like, wait, I got to go into my mother's womb and be born again? Jesus says, no, like, be born again. What does he say? Of spirit?
Of water?
Of water and spirit?
Yeah.
Like,
he was getting Nicodemus to really think about this whole thing.
Because Nicodemus was obviously already thinking about it because he came to them and he said, we know.
I love when you say that part.
We know that you are a teacher come from God.
Yeah.
So we've been watching and we've been thinking, right? And Nicodemus had to come and he was probably like, look, I want to be poor in spirit. I want to let some of this stuff go too.
Right.
What do I need to do? Jesus said, you got to do it all over again. You got to be born again.
Right.
Strip down. Rebirth, right?
Right.
You do. You got to do it again. You have to be born again, right? You have to come back at this thing the way you came into the world the first time. How'd you come in? With nothing.
Right.
So empty your hands, empty your head, and empty your heart,
Yep.
and be born again.
Right.
Fresh and new of water and spirit. That's it.
Yeah. He couldn't grasp that.
Well, I hope he did. He went away.
Right.
But I hope
he gave some
did.
more thought to it.
And I hope he shared it with the others,
And they could have a conversation.
And they had a
with
conversation
Jesus.
about it.
Right.
And he's just like, look, let it go.
Right.
Lay it down. Lay it all down.
That song again.
Be poor and that's what it means to be poor in spirit.
Right. So it makes sense when Jesus says, suffer the little children not to come to me.
To come unto me.
No, to come unto me. Right. Let them come. Because it's that state of mind. Right. They inherit the
He says, unless you come as a child, you're not going to make it in. So
this takes us down we're still on Damascus Road, but this takes us sort of like the side street of Damascus Road.
Damascus Avenue.
Damascus Lane. There's not a dead end. It just circles back to Jesus. I think Jesus was saying to Nicodemus to change your way of thinking about things.
Yes.
When we talk about the word repent, which I'm meditating on and putting together a message, a conversation about this, it is to think about your thinking. That's what that word in the Greek really means. So he's saying, like, that's why Nicodemus was like, what do you mean, go back to my mother's womb? Right? No. Think about what I'm saying, man. Just think about what I'm saying. You have to be born again. You have to, like you so eloquently said, you have to empty yourself. Come with nothing. Come poor in spirit. All that you think that is all important, it's not.
All that you think you know, let it go. Jesus says, come to me, all of you who are burdened and heavy laden.
Right.
And who is that? That's them. That's this crowd.
Yeah.
He says, and I will give you rest.
Right.
Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Yeah. These people were heavy laden. They knew what that meant. When he said that, they understood what he was saying because they were burdened by the law, by the Romans, by the taxation, by they were burdened. Yeah. Jesus says,
how do you get ahead when you're so burdened like that?
Yeah.
And all that you just said, and then so you're burdened mentally, spiritually, and physically. How do you get ahead of that? Because one of those you're going to get going. You're like, oh, things are going well. But then someone comes along and just oppresses that, right? Because now the tax collector comes, oh, I see you did an extra $100. I need that this week, right? Because you have to point. And then the tax collector is crooked. That's why he was in the temple.
Yep.
Because he's like, I wasn't doing right, God. Like, this is not good. So when you look at that period of time, if you know any little bit about the Roman Empire, it was not a pleasant empire to be under.
No.
Not at all. The only people who kept them from really taking over anything was the Syrians. They I don't want to say they kept them at bay for a long time because they were not nice people. So now you have taken over. So once again, you've been spiritually oppressed. Now you're financially oppressed, and now you're governmentally oppressed. How do you get out of that? So then here's Jesus comes with such a beautiful message to everyone who's there who needed to hear his word. And it says that blessed is you. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit. So I have to imagine they just want to just do what God is asking them to do. They can't see it in themselves to do it because you're struggling.
Because you're looking at these religious leaders, right? And you're saying, well, they say I should be like them, but they knew they were crooked.
Right.
Where's the righteousness of God?
So what does righteousness look like?
Right.
And so if you're comparing it to what man is doing, then yeah, you're not lining up with that. So here's Jesus' course correction, little plan of correction. I said, well, no, because it builds onto the other Beatitudes that he brings up, like those who seek after righteousness and everything like that. Because he knew the hearts of the people. There were people who truly wanted to do right by God, but the religion, the empire, and everybody else around is saying that no. Think about the man at the what's that? The water of
the pool of Bethesda,
right? And every year it gets stirred, or every 7 years it gets stirred, and no one put this man in there. Holy smokes! Like, what kind of people are we? We know this man has been here for X amount of years. I've seen him, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get my healing. But no one said, wow, let's move in. Hey, let's grab Tom and let's put him in the water so he could be healed. Jesus is speaking to those type of people. Yeah. Because the religion says, no, you have to do it this way.
Well, that's why, the scripture we read before the Beatitudes is like, he first thing he began to do is heal.
Right.
And word spread fast. People brought him all kinds. It said he healed them all.
Yes. Right.
He healed
Didn't turn no one away.
He healed them
Bring
all.
Them.
And then, these large crowds gathered, and he says, well, I have an audience. Let's teach.
Right. So this was like a mass healing. Because I'm going to bless you with who you are. If you're poor in spirit, guess what? You're blessed. Here's your blessing. You're inheriting the kingdom of heaven. You have everything. And I often think about, as we're having this conversation, the children of Levi come up for me sometimes. And if you wanted to be any of the 12 tribes, you wanted to be the tribe of Levi. Though you were a priest and you had to live a certain way, when God divided up the land amongst the 11, the children of Levi came to God and said, well, what's our portion? And God's response was, I will be your portion. I'm like, y'all got the better deal. Everybody else got Benzes and everything, but you got God. That was the better deal. So when I look at this part, it says, blessed is he who was poor in spirit. You're going to inherit the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is God. You're going to inherit him. He's giving you himself.
Yes.
To make everything straight. Wow. Sit in that for a little bit.
Yeah, so that, I talked also this morning about the things that you do when nobody's watching you. Every time you face a challenge and you decide to take the higher road, right? You decide not to retaliate. You decide to do something for someone in secret, right? Or you decide to extend an olive branch in the midst of a conflict. And when you do all those things, right, that comes from being poor in spirit. And you think that nobody cares, right? Or somebody say, yeah, you're a sucker, you're soft, you're that, you're this, you're that.
I like that.
But God sees that.
Right.
And it has its own reward. You think you go for years, you're just they're always the one extending the hand, right?
Yes.
And you think, does nobody care? Is nobody else willing to do this type of thing? You know, so you just continue to do it, not because people see you, because they don't.
Right.
These are the things you do when no one's watching you, behind closed doors, you know, when you're up in the middle of the night crying out to God because of something someone else did.
Right.
Right? But you're not plotting revenge. You're just seeking God. And then when the sun is coming up in the morning, you got nothing but forgiveness in your heart. Or you just make a decision that, you know, I'm not going to take this particular course of action. I'm going to take a different road.
Right.
You know, those things that you think God doesn't see and he forgets about, right? Because you're poor in spirit.
Right.
Jesus saying that's the kingdom. You've inherited the kingdom.
You have your reward.
That is its own reward.
Itself. So I like that other lens of looking at it that way. And the reason why I like it is because we do things. You're right. We do things and we're never acknowledged for it. We're never rewarded for it. It could be, remember like when we were kids, you'd be in the class assembly and they're like, you know, whoever had the best smile. And you're like, oh, that's going to be me. And it's Jane somebody. You're like, oh, you throw a cookie. You know, but because you never got that reward or like the brotherhood award or the sisterhood award. And you're like, I've been kind to everybody, but you don't get it. And you do feel a sense of poor in spirit. Like no one's seeing me. Just being kind and nice to people and just...
Or no one seems to value that.
I value that. However, Jesus is saying,
Jesus says,
I see that.
Yeah.
So blessed is you.
You're blessed.
Because I'm sure there were many people, and there are other parables of people who have done something nice to someone, even on a Sabbath, right? They talk about the Samaritan who found someone on the side of the road on the Sabbath. He takes care of him, brings him to the hotel, pays his room, all his fees. And that Samaritan was not looking for anything.
Right.
He perhaps knew doing this act of kindness to his neighbor, to a person who probably didn't even care for him because he's a Samaritan, right? It's the good Samaritan. It's like jumbo shrimp. Here is Jesus speaking to that person.
Yep.
He said, blessed is you, being poor in spirit. Because your reward is not here.
Your reward is the kingdom.
And where is the kingdom? It's now.
The kingdom is,
all
it's
around
right
you.
now, yeah.
Wow. I enjoy this conversation, bro. So I think as we move through the next several episodes, we should continue on with the Beatitudes.
Yeah. And
break them down. We're going to have a couple of special guests from our fellowship to be on to have these conversations. We call them they're our elders, but they're not part of the elders ministry, but they're like 80 and older and people who have walked with God for a long time. And we wanted to hear their stories, and we're gonna look at the Beatitudes and have conversations with them about their lives and so forth. And I think it's gonna be great. Yeah. I think we're gonna learn a lot.
Oh yeah,
a lot, because like we're in our 50s. These people are like, the oldest one is 87. So what did she see?
Yeah.
What did her eyes see? What did her heart experience in God as she is reflecting herself on the Beatitudes? And she said to me when I was asking her to be a part of our show, she said she could see how God in one of these Beatitudes like helped her in her life. And so I told her not to say nothing. Like, let's wait till we get her. And then she's like, no, I have the scripture written down. She says, I'll be glad to bring it. Because the Beatitudes is not only speaking to those who are on the mountain, but they're speaking to those who are present today.
Right, to those who are reading these words.
Yeah. So what is the conclusion of the matter?
Be poor in spirit.
I was going to say very similar. Like, it's okay to be poor in spirit.
Yes, because the kingdom belongs to you.
You're blessed. Blessed are those who are. It's not a curse to be. He said, blessed are those. Wow. I enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah.
That was lovely. Okay. So, until we're going to meet at the same spot on Damascus Road. So meet us again, and we'll pull someone into the conversation, and we'll just snatch them off the street. No, just kidding. They're from the fellowship. I'm just so excited about this particular conversation because I never really sat down and broke down the Beatitudes.
Or like put yourself in it. Like like you asked me which one resonates with me personally. So it's like, yeah.
That one.
That brings it alive. It brings it alive.
Right. So sit with your friends and say, yeah, which one really speaks to me?
Yeah.
And then sit with it. Have a conversation with your friends, with God in your prayer, and let God show you how he sees you. Because it keeps saying blessed. It didn't say curse is.
Right.
So it makes me think like somewhere in the Old Testament, perhaps, it speaks of like a curse of because you are poor in spirit or you're not seeking God's righteousness or something. And perhaps that's why Jesus had to clarify at this mountain with all these people and say, no, you're actually blessed. That you're okay.
Yeah, Jesus did that a lot. You heard it was said, but I'm telling you this. You know? So this is the beginning of his ministry. He starts out with blessings.
Yeah.
Blessings that go against the standardized blessings, what's really blessed and what's not.
Right.
Because I'm sure these people felt cursed. I'm sure they did.
Absolutely. What did I do to allow myself to be here?
Right.
So like even the man who was blind, and the Pharisees asked Jesus, was it him that caught who because of his sin, or was his parents? The man was born this way, so it's kind of a weird question to ask, right? And Jesus didn't really
Jesus said neither.
Right.
He said neither. Like you're not asking the right question.
Right.
You know.
And this was all done to glorify God.
Right.
That was his answer.
You're right.
Right. Man.
So man, you're way off. Come over here and let me show you.
Right.
Okay, so now I'm going to have him see. So now he's not blind anymore. Now
what?
what?
Now what? Right. Now what are you going to do with that now?
Yeah. But, thank you for joining us on this episode.
Yes.
And come back because we will continue it.
Yes. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Share with your friends the episodes and our YouTube and Spotify and all our channels. And more importantly, if I may say, don't forget to have these conversations with your friends, with your pastors, with your whoever that you just feel so led to share. Have those conversations with them. And so with that being said, Damascus Road Podcast, recorded here at Adonai Spiritual Formation Center Podcast Studio. I am Ron Blocker.
And I am Pam Taylor.
Thank you for listening.